Hello, beautiful people. Hello, my greensies of the world. My name is Ana Torres. Welcome to Ana K's Little Green Book. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for watching today. Today, I wanted to keep talking a little bit more about plastics. As you know, before we have been talking about single-use consumption of these ones and how it's actually attributing to the world's pollution and just like the environmental degradation as an overall. Everyone keeps talking about straws, about plastic cups, about plates, but no one's actually talking about utensils. Utensils were actually introduced in the 1940s, but they started being massively produced in 1950s once just fast food started getting a lot more popular, and essentially that's when all the boom of the plastic utensils started as an overall. When it comes to just the US, there's about 100 million utensils that are being used every single day. So in a year, there are actually about 40 billion that are being used. The worst part about it is that if we put that into perspective, that's like putting a garbage truck just disposing plastic into the ocean every single minute. So that would be equivalent to what we're actually using in the US alone. I mean, we all know how much we like fast food, takeout, food trucks, anything that has to do with just the fast and easy. I don't cook as much, so I know that I do love it. But it is one of the main contributors when it comes to easy to dispose plastics, which is going to be those utensils. When it comes to utensils, they're usually always going to be bundled together. I mean, who hasn't seen it? They come in a bag with a napkin and the fork, the knife, and the spoon. When it comes to those, it doesn't even matter that you just use less than half of what is actually in that specific packet. No one even thinks of either recycling or having other uses to those. They are simply disposing of them, which, I mean, it's pretty badly. I'm pretty sure we all have actually done it. The worst part about it is it is actually quite difficult to recycle just because of different factors, such as like the materials that are actually being used, the fact that like they're kind of inconsistent materials on it, the shape. There's a lot of things that are actually playing into that, and each of those utensils are actually taking about 1,000 years to decompose. Just like with everything, it's not fully gone. They're just staying into our landfills or our water bodies, into the ocean, the rivers, and everything like that. When it comes to the waterways, we need to think about it of, yes, they are ending up in landfills and then our waterways, but all of those are actually very bad contributors to the plastic disposal. And convenience is one of the worst part of our issues when it comes to just like fast food and takeout. They do it without even thinking. They put it in there. And a lot of people have been trying to just make that a change, but it hasn't fully been done. I mean, obviously, we're still consuming a lot of plastic utensils. When it comes to those waterways, coming back a little bit, all of those are actually sourced for providing water to domestic homes. They're actually for industrial use and even drinking water. So imagine having all those specific like plastics within it. Even when we are trying to clean up that water, there's always going to be those microplastics that are coming into it, and also all the toxins that actually these plastics have into it. So another thing to consider, as I mentioned before, as we talked about plastic bags and other plastics, When it comes to this one, it is actually being not just consumed by our marine life because they are thinking that it's food. It's actually also being it just it's contributing to air pollution, just in the fact that it's actually suffocating that marine life. A lot of those are depending on the oxygen that is actually coming from it, just because of the circulation that comes into the atmosphere, and this fuses into the water. But since there's so much plastic in our oceans and rivers, the plastic pollution ends up like covering the water completely on the surface, which leads to literally like not letting the air in, what they call the impermeability of air. So they're being suffocated in their own homes essentially. So that's kind of some of the things that kind of kill me, just because I mean, who doesn't want to keep our animals safe as an overall? And also just remember that everything that we are eating from the ocean, it's actually coming into our bodies, which means we are also ingesting all those plastics along with the toxins. So let's talk more toxins. Even when it comes to the production, plastics are actually impacting before it actually hits the market. The main reason is just because the energy and the carbon emissions that are actually getting out while they are being produced. In addition, I mean, obviously heat and carbon is actually getting into the atmosphere, which it's our atmosphere, which actually is leading to carbon dioxide, which essentially it's causing climatic changes in our world. We've talked about that, like it's a constant fight that a lot of people are trying to put out there. Not only that, when it comes to this plastics, once like this is converting into that carbon dioxide, it's actually mixing with just with greenhouse gases, and those come in the form of like methane, and that actually it's also releasing some chemicals during production. Some of those chemicals are like vinyl chloride or benzene, and essentially when it comes to those, it's very carcinogenic and it's neurotoxic. So people that are actually building these things are being exposed to this, and it's something that we've talked about in the past. There's so many types of toxins or chemicals that are actually being released as we speak because of the production of all these things. Some people do resort to burning their cutlery, which is not the greatest. Essentially, when it comes to it, it's actually pretty much disposing toxins into the atmosphere as well. So again, before production, and after use. And not only that, like mixing that with the air that like living organisms are actually taking in. It comes in plants, it comes from like animals, or even us humans that we are in just like ingesting all those toxins. But also remember that exposure to this contaminated air over like prolonged times or intervals actually also result in respiratory diseases for humans, not only just cancer or anything in that respect. We have to also keep very much in mind that whenever utensils are used, we are also in risk of like just creating kidney stones, breast cancer, liver cancer. They're actually also reduce sperm count, and it can actually have some hormonal imbalances as well. So just with the use of this ones, since they are being exposed to very high temperatures, they are just pretty much releasing all these things, such as dioxin, biphenyl A, and phthalates, which we have talked of before. So what is the solution here? Essentially, there's a couple of things that can be done. The first one is pretty much going to be, if you dispose of utensils, make sure that they are biodegradable, and also like make sure that some of them are able to be recycled. They usually have the numbers behind it. A lot of people say to avoid anything that has to do with places that serve plastic, but I don't completely agree. I mean, I am all about the supporting local, making sure that our local businesses stay afloat, and unfortunately a lot of them are going to be using those. So as a lot of them are actually trying to make a change, there's some that can't take that step. And there's more conscious people. There's actually better ways of actually creating those things, and some of them is just using plant-based materials. There's some other ones that are using fast growing plants that's going to be either bamboo, or it can actually be birch. So with that, they're actually biodegradable, but some of them are also compostable. But just remember, some of them are biodegradable, some of them are compostable, but some of them don't even end up in composting facilities, which means, again, it's still landing into our landfills or our water bodies, such as oceans, which we have spoken about before. So the best solution is always going to be stop the use of single-use plastics. I would definitely recommend just to carry your reusable set of utensils. I know it's not convenient. Again, it's all about the empathy. I know you're not going to be able to do that every single time, but if you have that and you start doing it, the more you do it, the better and easiest it's going to start. So I actually have 3 different options that I got, just because there's times that some of them don't fit your necessities, essentially. So the first one that I actually bought, was a bamboo set. It's this one. I actually liked it, but it's a lot harder to be able to eat. This spoon is really small. This is really hard to actually like just be able to kind of like get things from it, and the knife doesn't cut as well, but I always carry it in case I don't have my favorite set. If it's something you want, this is never going to be ending up in the landfills and not biodegrade. It's always going to be degradable just because it is bamboo. The second one is going to be this one. I actually have this bag from some straws I bought, this straw expert, and I actually use it for my set. We will talk about straws later, but it's here. Essentially is the one that I normally like carry. I take it to all my camping trips. Just a spoon, the very specific knife, and it's pretty good. It does cut very well, and just a normal fork. And then I have another option, which is usually what I carry with my bag, just because it's a little bit smaller. It has a very nice case that I can put it on. It doesn't get anything dirty. So it has its spoon and fork. The only thing is it doesn't have a knife, but you usually don't need a knife. And it actually has some chopsticks as well, because I love sushi, so very good one. Again, it's all about the empathy, understanding that you're not going to be able to do that all the time, but make sure, like, if you don't use a package and it does come with a knife and the spoon and you didn't use it, please dispose of it correctly. Just be a little bit more conscious. I hope this is a good transition for you. Thank you so much for watching today, and hopefully I see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye.